We have not one, but two Monday Night Football games. Let's talk a little pigskin. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back in to another episode for Just a Bet Outside. I am your host, Steven, and we're back to talk some more football. That's right. It was a interesting weekend in the NFL. We're going to talk all about it in the bets recap. It was a terrible early games and a much better afternoon or evening game. So we'll talk about that in a second, but we just hit 30,000 subscribers. I cannot thank you guys enough. It's been a crazy journey. So we're going to give $30,000 away to 30 people. Absolutely not. I was just joking. But seriously, we do have a giveaway. How about two more outliers? That's right. One free month to two people. All you got to do is hit that like button, leave a comment below, and we will pick two random people and you get one free month of Outlier. You will see Outlier on this video. If you don't know much about it, the link is below for a 7-day free trial. It's a one-stop shop for all your betting research. It is absolutely awesome. But I got a really exciting announcement. The NBA season preview, predictions, future bets, that video is out right now. And Monday night, that's right, later on today, if you're watching this on Monday, will be our first NBA best bets video. The season is freaking here. It's time to talk some ball. So anyways, we'll get into it right now. I got a quick NFL fun fact for you, but we got two Monday Night Football games, so it's a little busier than normal. So here we go. Dan Marino had 301 rushing attempts in his career for only 87 total rush yards. That's crazy. Just to compare, Peyton Manning and Phillip Rivers both had over 600 rush yards, and those guys couldn't move at all. 87 rush yards. That is a total pocket passer, Mr. Dan Marino. In this video, we're going to recap Week 7, which was absolutely wild, and then I'm going to give you two quick takeaways just to talk a little football, and then we'll talk Ravens at Bucks and Chargers at Cardinals, and we'll finish it with that bets recap. So hit that like button if you haven't already. Leave a comment below like you guys have been doing every single day for the last couple of years. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button as we're now on our way to 31,000 subscribers. Appreciate all the support, but let's get into it. And that means it's recap time. All right, here is the big old recap from Week 7. And how about that? 2-1 on the game bets. Commanders team total over 29.5 was easy peasy. They didn't even need Jaden Daniels. There's Marcus Mariota, and they scored at will. They didn't care in the second half to score. I know they scored at least 40. They could have scored 60 if they needed to. Easy winner there. And then a pretty easy teaser also. Chiefs plus 7.5 win outright in San Francisco. Lions plus 7.5 was in pretty good hands. They did fumble at the end to make it a little dicey, but still, both of those teams won outright. We hit the teaser easily. Browns plus 6. Listen, I know you think it's a terrible bet and all that, but I will say this. Deshaun Watson was actually looking okay for a little while until he got hurt, and then DTR threw 2 picks, but both of them were off receivers' hands, and they absolutely changed the game. With all that said and done, they still out-yarded the Bengals, and they lost by 7. So it wasn't as terrible a bet as you think, but unfortunately, that may be the last time I count on the Browns, that's for sure. Player props are actually the ones that let us down, which is not common here on this channel. Brock Bowers over 59.5 receiving yards. I got to just start laddering the one guy I love the most because he just absolutely crushed it. I don't even know what he ended up with. I know he was over 90 yards at one point. He is the absolute man. Jordan Addison over 47.5 looked a little dicey, then caught a decently long pass, which really helped us out, and we cashed that. This one, it's frustrating because I had Kenneth Walker over rushing yards all written up, and I changed it to Geno Smith. I don't know why I do that. But Geno Smith, he was on pace. At halftime, he had like 15, 16. He barely had any completions in the second half because it became a blowout. That's right. I lost to a blowout because the underdog, the Seahawks, blew out the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta, and they just stopped throwing the ball. It's just one of those things. And this next one, we're going to talk about in the takeaways. Mike McDaniel and the Dolphins are an absolute joke. When your best player, Tyreek Hill, the most athletic player in the entire league, has the football in his hands one time. Maybe two if he had a carry. I don't remember. It was a joke. Terrible read by me and terrible, terrible offense by the Miami Dolphins. And this one. I'm not done yet. As you can tell, it was an upsetting day. All this, by the way, was just to lose 0.81 units. It felt like we lost a lot more. Demario Douglas, I was doing the Kyle Kerm show in the morning, and I'm trying to follow it on my phone, and sure enough, Douglas goes out in the second quarter with a sickness. Something that was not reported before the game. He was all of a sudden just sick during the game after 3 targets, and that was it. So we lost that one. That's football. It happens sometimes. And then Garrett Wilson over 40.5 receiving yards is the one we added for Sunday Night Football. We were unable to make that that Sunday Night Football video that we wanted to. We had some life stuff come up, but our plan is to have a Sunday Night Football video every weekend. But I did give this bet out still on everything, and it's over 49.5 receiving yards. The game is still going on right now. It's the third quarter. I just saw Garrett Wilson have a ball bounce off his shoulder to the opposing team right before we recorded. So that's where we're at. But he's got like 30 something, I think. I don't know. He's got a chance. So we'll see what happens there. If he hits that, then we have a profitable Sunday somehow. But the latter parlay was a nothing. Tyreek Hill was a joke. He blew it. Brock Bowers hit his. And then anytime touchdowns, 1 and 2 day. George Kittle, he did have a chance. I think he took it to the 5-yard line one time. But then they just had some weird red zone drives where they just didn't look at him. They ran the ball twice, and then Brock Purdy stared someone down and threw a pick, and he wasn't a part of it. So it is what it is. Touchdown bets, you need a little luck. So we lost that one. Drake London clutched up and got yet another touchdown. And then Demario Douglas, we all know, is a long shot plus 370, but he didn't play because he was sick. So with all that said, thank you for listening to me ramble. I like to go over every bet and what happened and all that kind of stuff. 5 and 7, down 0.81 units. And I'm telling you right now, it felt like we just lost 7 or 8 units. That's how terrible the morning was. So if we can get Monday night winners, maybe get Garrett Wilson, we're going to have still a profitable weekend, or at least in week 7 for the NFL. So we'll see what happens. And now let's check out page 2, the season overall record. Game bets actually had the winning weekend this weekend. It's surprising, but that's what's killed us. Player props up 4.89. Anytime touchdowns, ladder parlays. By the way, we also lost the trends parlay. We did not go over in the Seahawks game. I didn't check every single leg yet, but not official. But we've been putting a quarter unit on it. They won pretty decently last year. They have not yet, but we'll win 1 or 2, and then we'll get back in the positive there. But there's the overall record. I'm frustrated. We've had some tough beats. I know I've had some tough reads as well, but I'm confident we will get this turned around. 55 and 55. We're still up 0.6 units. Obviously, if we finish this week strong, we'll be up a couple units. But let's get it rolling here. So that is the bets recap and the season overall record, not including the Garrett Wilson bet, of course, as of right now. So now, before we get to Monday Night Football, let's check out the takeaways. All right, before we get to those Monday Night Football best bets, I got to talk a couple takeaways because, well, I got to get some things off my chest. So here we go. The first one, Mike McDaniel, the coach of the Miami Dolphins, needs to be fired as soon as possible. I'm not kidding. He lost his quarterback too early in the year. I get it. But this team is absolutely, completely, utterly horrendous on offense. He is supposed to be an offensive mastermind. That's why he's there. This team is not. He has no answers for the backup quarterbacks. He has no creativity whatsoever. Tyreek Hill, I may be a little bitter because I lost the Tyreek Hill bet today, but he doesn't know how to use him, doesn't know how to get him the ball in space, doesn't know how to use Jalen Waddle. It has been unbelievable, and it's not just this week either. Mike McDaniel has been bad for a little while now. He looked lost even when Tua was the quarterback, to be honest with you, but they are now scoring the fewest points per game in the entire NFL. What kind of offensive mastermind does that? Quarterback or no quarterback? I'm not exactly sure what his purpose is right now. He kind of just looks like this stoned guy out there trying to figure out why everyone's scoring on him and why he can't score. He has 0 playoff wins. He has a record in Miami as a head coach right around 500. I'm just not seeing it. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you guys think. But he is not using his weapons well at all. He just has no answers. That's just what it is. So I think he's a funny dude. He's fun to listen to and all that, but he has got to go. He has not proven or done anything in Miami. If I was a Miami fan, at least that's how I would feel. But anyways, second one. This isn't that big of a takeaway. You guys probably know this, but the NFC North is by far the best division. They are unbelievable. Going into week 7, I think I mentioned this in the trends. The division, the AFC North total was 18-4 against the spread. That is absolutely insane. The Vikings, that's interesting. Lions and Vikings just played one heck of a game today. It was a little sloppy here and there, but you could see how physical they were and how good they are on the defensive side. The Packers eked out a win against the Texans. Didn't always look great, but I have liked what I've seen lately from the Packers defense as well. Bears were on a bye, but obviously Caleb Williams playing a little bit better. Defense is their strength. They're 4-2. It is wild through 7 weeks to see all 4 teams combine for a 19-5 record. With 3 wildcard teams now, I see all 4 of these teams competing right till the end. Obviously, the Lions, of course. I think they win the division. But I think they compete for the playoff race right till the end, and that's just absolutely crazy to think. So if you're a fan of the NFC North, this division is going to be a lot of fun this year. It already is. But anyways, those are my 2 takeaways. Just want to talk a little football. Leave a comment below with any takeaways you have or thoughts on what I just said. So that's all I got. Let's get into the Ravens and Buccaneers. All right, we head to the first of 2 Harbaugh Monday Night Football games where the Bucs host the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens minus 3.5. Total in this game is 50. Let's just talk some trends and notes before we get to my best bet. And I have a 1 bet in this game, and it'll be 1 unit. Same for the next game. We're going after it. So these teams have each scored 30 points or more in 3 straight games. It's been a lot of offense. Lamar Jackson's insane. Straight up versus NFC teams, 22-1 in his career, although against the spread, 11-11-1. Just want to point that out. Ravens were the first team in NFL history to outrush their opponents by 100 yards or more in every game through the first 4 weeks. They've now done it through the first 6 weeks. That's right. They are just absolutely dominating because they know how to stop the run and they know how to run the ball with Lamar and Derrick Henry. Bucks have played some really high-scoring games lately, 78, 66, and 49 points in the last 3 games. Not a ton of notable injuries here. Bucks, Vita Vea, and Rashad White is questionable. I don't think Rashad White is really that good anyways, but it's time for the best bet. And we are running this ish back. That's right. We cashed on him last week with the ladder. Also, Zay Flowers over 58.5 receiving yards, minus 110 on Bet365 for 1 unit. Let's go right into the numbers and let's check out Outlier right here. So, Flowers has been a monster lately. I've been telling you guys about this, and that's why. I mean, look at his numbers last 2 weeks: over 110 receiving yards in 2 straight games. The 2 misses before that, and we talked about this last week when he bet him on when we took his over. Also, I'll just mention it again real quick. It was a blowout game versus Baltimore where they were able to run, or versus Buffalo. They were able to run all over them, and then they crushed Dallas also by running all over them. Always a possibility, but when they don't do that, he just absolutely dominates. We have a 3.5-point spread here. I think the Bucks at home can keep this competitive. Now let's go check out the matchup over there on the right. You can see versus wide receivers. The Bucks are giving up the 6th most receiving yards to that wide receiver position. They struggle. Flowers has also been a receiver who's really good against zone defense, which is what Bowles likes to run most of the time. And the Bucks' run defense has been average this season. As long as they can kind of slow him down, we're going to get more pass attempts. And I just think Zay Flowers is a stud. But as long as they don't just let him run for 300 yards and just do that all game long, I think Zay has a big game here. I think Zay is actually one of the best wide receivers in the league, especially maybe the best receiver that no one talks about in the league. But let's check out some more numbers and go down to the target share all the way down there at the bottom. You can see a 28.2% target share with 48 targets. And then if we scroll up, now we can look at this game-by-game breakdown on Outlier, which is incredible. By the way, click the link below on Outlier. Go try that 7-day free trial. But if you look at target share right there, 28% and 32% the last 2 games, which you love to see. And then we can click on average yards per reception as well. How about 15.9 and 14.7? He is getting yards in chunks right now, and that's what you absolutely want to see when you're taking an over receiving yards, obviously. So, like I mentioned, I love Zay Flowers. I think he's a stud. I don't know why more people don't talk about him. He knows how to get open, find the spots in the zone. He also can beat man-to-man as well. But let's just take a moment and smell the flowers right when he goes over the 58.5 yards. If you want to ladder him up, I don't mind that either, but that is my first best bet. All right, the second Harbaugh game takes us out to the desert where the Arizona Cardinals are hosting the LA Chargers. Chargers minus 1.5. Total in this game is 44 points. Let's just talk some trends. And I waited for this Harbaugh trend until this one. How about this? This is the Harbaughs. They are combined 51 and 25 straight up and 43, 31 and 2 against the spread in night games as head coaches. How about that stat? 19 and 7 straight up and 18 and 8 against the spread on Monday Night Football. These 2 coaches are. The Chargers have not seen a game reach 40 points all season. It's absolutely crazy. We've been talking about that in the trends. The highest scoring game they had was 39 last week against the Broncos, and on this one we have a total of 44. But this is also a crazy stat. Again, does this mean anything? I don't know. I'm just throwing some numbers out. When the Chargers have allowed 24 or fewer points, Herbert is 28 and 9 straight up, 26 9 and 2 against the spread. Herbert is 6 and 1 against the spread on the road in night games, like he is here. And then we go to Kyler Murray. He is 22 and 15 to the over at home in his career. He's over in 8 of the last 11 home starts, kind of contradicting with how the Chargers are playing. Kyler 27, 17 and 2 against the spread as an underdog, been pretty good. Yeah, he's lost 6 of his last 7 games in primetime as well. So he's 3 and 7 overall. That's what we got for that. Now, injuries. Chargers, they are struggling at the wide receiver position. Quentin Johnson, doubtful. Ladd McConkey, questionable. And then also Joey Bosa, doubtful. DB, Jasir Taylor, questionable. Cardinals, Sean Murphy Bunting is questionable to DB. And then running back Trey Benson, for what it's worth, is questionable. So let's get into the best bet. It's a running back. It's another over. Give me, just kidding, J.K. Dobbins over 76.5 rush yards at minus 113 on FanDuel for 1 unit. Jim Harbaugh is absolutely obsessed with making this Chargers team a run-first team. That is their identity. You've seen it before. They're controlling the clock, and J.K. Dobbins has been an absolute workhorse. So let's take a look at Outlier and look into some of the numbers on this guy. He's had 3 games where he's dominated. As you can see, 96 or more rush yards in 3 of the 5 games, and then 2 games that were duds. Of course, let's talk about those duds. First one against the Chiefs. Oh, just one of the best run defenses in the entire NFL. 4th fewest yards per attempt. And then versus Steelers, another elite run defense. They allowed the 2nd fewest rush yards per attempt. So we're talking top 5 matchups there in regards to hardest matchups. And if you look at J.K. Dobbins' schedule, he's only faced one team in the bottom half of the league in regards to rush yards per attempt. So it's been kind of a tough schedule for him, even though he's still had some big games. Now, if we look at this matchup over there, the Cardinals versus running backs, they've given up the fourth most rush yards per game in the entire NFL, 22nd in rush yards per attempt. I mean, it is a great matchup. And then we go down to the rush attempts share. And I just want to talk about this real quick. You can see as a 52.9% rush share. It's a big butt here. It's a big butt. Gus Edwards is out. So that 15 at 2.9, it does not matter. It really doesn't, because Gus Edwards was out last week, and guess how many carries he had? 25 carries for Dobbins. He is the main man. Rush outline is set at 17.5, juiced to the over for a reason. They think he's going to get 18 or more rush attempts. He is going to be the absolute workhorse. Now, let's talk some running backs versus the Cardinals lately. Josh Jacobs, 62 rush yards and 18 carries. Jordan Mason, 89 yards and 14 carries only. Brian Robinson, 101 yards and 21 carries. That's kind of the game I see. I see a 20 for 90, 20 for 100 type game from J.K. Dobbins. And then David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs combined for 188 rush yards on 39 carries. Teams love to run the ball against the Arizona Cardinals. I expect them to control the clock, to run the ball here, especially with all those wide receivers injured. Not that I thought they weren't going to run it anyways, but that's just another reason. Why would you put Herbert back there with a bunch of backup receivers when you can just run the ball all over them? So give me J.K. Dobbins over 76 and a half rush yards. Another guy that might be a chance to ladder up to 90 or 100. So those are my two one-unit plays. I may have a half-unit play on one of these games or both games. If I do add it, it'll be in the pinned comments below on X and on Discord as usual. So that's what we got for the bets. Let's check out the recap. All right, there it is. We got Zay Flowers over 58.5 receiving yards for one unit, and then J.K. Dobbins over 76.5 rushing yards. Those are the two bets for Monday Night Football. Again, any added plays will be in the pinned comments on X and on Discord. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Let's have a great week, of course, with NBA starting this week as well. Hope you have a great Monday, and we'll talk to you soon.